All right. Hello, students. Today I'm going to talk to you about immigration, urbanization, and industrialization. But for the first part, I'm going to focus on immigration. Got some brainstorm questions for you to consider. It says, define in your own words what immigration means. 2, why do you think immigrants choose to move to a new country, like the U.S.? So what qualities or what are some things about our country of the United States would draw people to immigrate here? 3, explain the types of problems an immigrant would face in a new country. So what are they going to experience? What hardships? 4, why do some people want to limit immigration or the number of immigrants coming into our country? So I want you to stop the video and answer these brainstorm questions. Here are some pictures of immigration. You see in the top left-hand corner, you have Ellis Island. That's what immigrants first saw when they entered the U.S. through the state of New York, Ellis Island. You had a checkpoint there. You had to be registered. You had to be checked for diseases. You had to prove that you had the ability to work. And that's what immigrants first went through, the immigration stations at Ellis Island. Right here you have Chinese immigrants. Chinese immigrants came to the United States, particularly on the West Coast, during the California Gold Rush in 1849. A lot of Chinese immigrants worked on railroads, and they were mistreated. They faced a lot of discrimination while working on the railroads, particularly the Transcontinental Railroad. On the left-hand corner down here, you have some immigrants from Italy. These are called the new immigrants because they came after like 1880 or after the Civil War. Over here in this picture, you have Irish immigrants. And the Irish immigrants came over here in the mid to late 1800s because of the potato famine. The potato crop failed in Ireland, which was a main crop. Right here is a T-chart. It says immigration to a new country. So what I would like for you to do is I want you to list the pros, which are good things about immigration to a new country, and cons, which are bad things about immigration to a new country. So stop the video and fill out this T-chart on immigration to a new country, listing pros and good things about immigration to a new country and bad things about immigrating to a new country. Right here you have an illustration activity that I want you to do. It says reasons for increased immigration. So immigration increased by 20 million after the Civil War from 1865 to 1920. About 20 million new Americans came about. 20 million more immigrants came to the U.S. The 4 reasons for increased immigration. First one says hope for better opportunities. That might mean a better job, better prospects, getting an education, getting a home, just better opportunities, better chances. And you're going to illustrate what that would look like. The second reason is escape from oppressive governments. Oppressive means harsh, cruel. Like you would see something like this in a dictatorship where you have a cruel leader, where you don't have any basic freedoms like freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom to criticize the government, and you can't practice basic freedoms that could make you feel like you're worthy of a valuable citizen. So that's one of the reasons why people immigrated to the U.S., because there was an oppressive government. Third, desire for adventure. People wanted to have fun. People wanted to travel. I want to see the Golden Gate Bridge. I want to see the Statue of Liberty. I want to go out and see the Buffalo play. I want to go to the Pacific Ocean. I want to go to the beach. I want to go to the Atlantic Ocean. So people came for adventure, to have fun, and they wound up staying. The fourth reason for increased immigration is religious freedom. People wanted to come to America because our Bill of Rights and our Constitution allows people to practice their religion freely without being punished by the government. So those are the four main reasons why immigration increased. And I want you to illustrate over here what that would look like. You don't have to color it, but just illustrate it to help you get a pictorial representation of what that was about. So you can stop the video here and do this activity. For this activity right here, it says application activity. It says match the reason for immigration with each quote or scenario. So you need to go back to the prior page and put in the reason for immigration based on the scenario. And I'm going to read them out. First one says, in my country, the government passes laws making it difficult for us Jewish people to worship our God in good peace. Hopefully in America, things will be better for us. The second one, there are not many jobs for people in my home country. Hopefully I can get a good job in America and be able to support me and my family. The third one, speaking out and criticizing the leaders of our government is a crime. Freedom of speech, the press, the right to assemble, and religious worship are basic rights not allowed. But in America, it will be different. In the last scenario or description, it says, I want to travel to America to see the Grand Canyon, hiking the Appalachian Mountains, and visit New York City so that I can have fun. After I do that, I plan on calling America my home. So you can write in the reason for immigration based on these scenarios and descriptions. And you're not going to use one more than once. Like I talked about in the T-chart, there are a lot of problems that immigrants face. Most immigrants travel to the cities because there were a lot of factories, there was a lot of industry, there are large groups of people. Cities that immigrants went to mainly was New York and Boston, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Washington, D.C., Atlanta, Chicago, St. Louis, Detroit. So they went to those cities the most on the East Coast because there are a lot of opportunities, there are a lot of jobs, and that's where they can mingle with people of their own culture. And you're going to look at a video that talks about how different ethnic towns were established in large metropolitan areas and cities, like Chinatown, Little Italy, Little Africa, Little Mexico. So that was done so people can connect with people of their own ethnicity or culture. And culture, I should say. But there were problems. Some of the problems had to be addressed. And the question over here says, name some efforts that were done to help solve problems immigrants had in the cities. Well, over here it says settlement houses, such as the Hull House, that was set up by Jane Addams, who was an activist, and she was a pacifist. So she helped address those problems that immigrants face. A lot of immigrants had language barriers, they were made fun of, they were discriminated against, they had trouble assimilating into American society. We learned that the word assimilate means to blend in. So you basically are changing from what you normally are in terms of your culture, like your clothing, your religion, your language, and coming more like the people in the new country that you come to. So a lot of immigrants had difficulty with that. You had political machines. They gained power by helping new immigrants find jobs, housing, and better lives. Political machines are like government organizations that try to help people, and they try to persuade them to vote for them, particularly the immigrants. You know, vote for me, you'll get a brand new house, you'll get a good job, you'll be taken care of, da-da-da-da-da. And many times you're going to learn that a lot of these political machines were corrupt and were dishonest. And you're seeing that today in this election this year. So these were some of the efforts that were done to help immigrants solve problems that they had in cities. Here's a picture of Jane Addams. She came from a family of wealth. Right here is a Hull House, which is a settlement house in Chicago. She found this. In the whole houses were established all across the United States. About 500 settlement houses were established. And the settlement house was basically like a YMCA, if you want to think about it. They taught immigrants how to read, write, do arithmetic, trade, skills, how to adapt to American life, and also teach kids how to have fun and give them a place to hang out so they can play games and do fun activities. So a settlement house is really important for immigrants coming to America. Down here in this picture, you see kids learning skills. And if you click on this link right here, it talks more about Jane Addams. She was a fascinating woman. She was a suffragette, which means she fought for the rights of women to get the right to vote. She knew Frederick Douglass. She knew Susan B. Anthony. She was a very important woman. And what she did is that even though she was raised wealthy, what she did is that she went into the cities to live among the poor immigrants to see how life was for them, so she can have empathy for them. Empathy means you understand how people feel. You can walk a mile in their shoes, walk a mile in their moccasins. So Jane Addams was very important. She found the Hull House, which was a settlement house in Chicago. So check her out. Very fancy hat she's got on. These are pictures I'm going to show you. This is a ghetto. Ghettos are basically slum, poor, rundown areas of a city, town, and neighborhood. If you look at this, it looks crowded, looks messy. There's mess everywhere. It's not a very good, clean, and sanitary place to live. A lot of poor people, a lot of rats, insects, rundown apartments called tenements. A lot of immigrants lived in ghettos. A lot of minorities did. This is a picture of a tenement, which is a rundown apartment where many immigrants and minorities lived. As you can tell, it's cramped. It's like one big room. And a lot of these tenements caught on fire. A lot of them had rats. A lot of them had insects. It was dirty. It was unkept. It was not clean. So it wasn't a pleasant place to live if you lived in a tenement. And this is Boss Tweed. He was a big leader in the Democratic Party. He was a political boss. He's a very corrupt man, and he took advantage of people in New York City. He was a leader of the Democratic Party function at Tammany Hall. And the word corruption up here says the act of being dishonest, untrustworthy, and taking advantage of people. Very sneaky. And here is a cartoon of Boss Tweed. And here's a link right here that you can click on that you can go to the website biography.com to learn more about Boss Tweed. And this is a cheat chart about living in a city. We'll do that later when we get more into urbanization. So this is part one of this PowerPoint that your packet is based on. Go back and do the activities in the packet. And you're also going to do some Edpuzzle questions that are going to be embedded on this. So this is the end of part one of your packet. Hope you enjoy. Peace.